Hello again, dear friends, and welcome back to news summary from Moscow program, evening update. Today is, of course, 17th of October. Now it's 7 p.m. Moscow time, and I have prepared quite a number of news on some major developments that Russian media is focused on, and hopefully you will find a new segment informative and useful. And in that case, please like the video, click that like button, and leave some commentary. This might help in the development of this project. And if you want to support, dear friends, if you want to support my work, this project, you can do it through several means. Links also are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And also, if you want to highlight any topic, any question, you can use super chat or rant feature on Rumble. I'm streaming on both my channels on YouTube and Rumble simultaneously, as you know. And so, yes, that's been said. I know one of the main topics of the day is going to be meeting between Zelensky and Trump, but that meeting did not started yet. I just checked a couple of minutes ago, number of channels, and so nothing to report about that meeting that did not yet has happened. Maybe during the live stream, meeting will start, and of course, towards the end of the news segment, I will check media outlets. If there will be any reporting, I will share that latest information with you. Otherwise, I will start with some other important news, of course. And for example, today, press spokesman of the Russian president, Dmitry Peskov, confirmed information that a meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and President of US Donald Trump might take place in the next 2 weeks, as it was earlier stated by Trump himself. Let me give you some details on that. So, a meeting between the Russian and US leaders, Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, could take place in the next 2 weeks. Both sides understand that it should not be postponed. This was stated by Russian presidential press secretary Dmitry Peskov in response to a TASS news agency's question. And so we should expect this meeting in next 2, 3, potentially 3 weeks time, because Peskov also said that maybe meeting will take a little later, but not too late. So that's 2, 3 weeks, I guess, right? And to prepare this meeting, dear friends, we have this report that Lavrov and Rubio, foreign minister of Russian Federation and head of U.S. State Department, will have a phone conversation. This conversation did not happen yet, but of course they will talk. Their assistants will have a conversation, aides of the presidents of two countries, to make sure that meeting actually prepared well enough, and hopefully that meeting would not be just for a talk. Maybe something concrete will come out of it, or something positive, right? Let's hope for that. Although anything is possible, of course. The Analyst is reporting that Russian president already spoke to Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, who earlier, before having a conversation with the Russian leader, had a talk with phone conversation with the US President Donald Trump. And Orban, C. Arthur, Foreign Minister of Hungary, and leadership of this country is basically already are working to prepare this meeting, because it's going to be a big deal, by the way, not just in terms of world stability, but also it's going to be a big deal for Hungary itself, right? So clearly some preparations are underway. And also interesting topic, dear friends, how Russian president will travel to Hungary, right? And there are many comments on internet. Members of our community also, by the way, are sharing opinion that this may not be that simple and that safe, actually, for Russian president to travel to Hungary, not because of some threats from Hungary itself, but because irresponsible behavior of the Western ruling class in general. They might come up with all sorts of provocations, and their proxy regime too, right? And on this matter, we have this report from Vzglyad News paper that Putin may be accompanied by aerospace forces, Russian aerospace forces, on a part of his route to Hungary. So Russian President Vladimir Putin's flight to Hungary to meet with the White House US President, basically, Donald Trump, will be escorted by aerospace forces aircraft over the neutral waters of the Black Sea. The route over the other countries will be the result of a political agreements. Aviation expert Oleg Pentilev told the Vzгляд newspaper, this is not official, this is just expert in the field is sharing opinion. And well, if you ask me, it would be better if Russian Air Force will escort plane of Russian president all along to Hungary. I don't know how this can be arranged, but of course it would be better if plane of Russian president will be safe and secure all the way from Moscow to Budapest, right? It does make sense, and because obviously this flight has to avoid Ukraine, Kiev-controlled territory as much as possible. Flight most likely will take place over there, let's say, Black Sea, over the neutral waters. Then probably it will enter either Romania or Bulgaria, right? Unfortunately, I cannot open this freaking map to show you potential router. Okay, that's unfortunate, but anyways. So probably plane will enter Bulgaria, maybe Romania, and then they will reach central part of Europe, Budapest, and yes, it will be better if Russian president's plane is accompanied by Russian fighter jets for security reasons. So this is a big topic, of course, big issue, and this is one of the reasons why I said this morning while reporting on the matter that it is sort of unfortunate that meeting is taking place in a NATO member states. Nothing against Hungary, obviously, but there is a safety issues. There is also protocol moments, right? Russian president visited US just recently, and it would make all the sense if Trump will visit Moscow. Unfortunately, this is not happening, right? But of course, all the necessary security measures will be taken, basically, to make sure that nothing gonna happen, right? RIA Novosti is also reporting that yesterday, after phone conversation, quite a lengthy phone conversation with the U.S. President Donald Trump, Russian president had a meeting with the Security Council, and conversation with Trump was discussed in detail, and some other topics. Of course, Russian president shared information with other high-ranking officials, and obviously they will work from now to meeting between the two presidents. Russian officials and US officials will work on a program that two leaders will base their work during their meeting, right? Also, dear friends, as I already said, some people receive this information about our upcoming meeting with skepticism, some others with optimism, right? And when it comes to optimistic approach, I did mention this morning that one of the most optimistic posts, at least, or comments that I see is coming from aide of Russian President Kirill Dmitriev, and as I mentioned earlier, he proposed the direct Russia-US tunnel to be built under the Bering Strait. So, and this is really interesting stuff, by the way. I mean, maybe Kirill Dmitriev not just expressed his personal opinion, but maybe this is a topic that two sides actually discussed. And if so, then, well, I think this is a big deal. Let me once again give you some details on that. So Russia and US should build a direct rail tunnel under the Bering Strait. Why just a rail tunnel? Should be for double use, not just a railway, but also for cars. Why not? Basically, if you want, I mean, can you imagine? You can link with this tunnel several continents, by the way, right? not just Eurasia and Americas, but also Africa. It will be something major actually if this project will ever gets realized, right? But anyways, let's continue. Russia and US should build a direct rail tunnel under the Bering Strait to link their two countries. Russian presidential aide Kirill Dmitriev has suggested in a post on X on Thursday. Dmitriev, who also serves as a head of Russia's sovereign wealth fund, said both nations would benefit from the route and invited billionaire Elon Musk to join through his Boring company, which builds underground the loop transport system. And we have quote here, Elon Musk, imagine connecting the US and Russia. Dmitry wrote, the Americas and Afro-Asia with their Putin-Trump tunnel, a 70-mile link symbolizing unity. Dmitry wrote on X saying their project would spur resource exploration, create jobs, and boost both economies. Let's build a future together. The time has come to connect Russia and the US, Dmitry said, and I think this is a good idea, actually. This is a good idea, and not just idea, but one that actually might work in a great length and benefit not just Russia and the US, but also other countries, right? That will use this tunnel for transportation of goods, services. It will benefit peoples of many countries because they will be able to travel this way. So it's a tremendous, and it will benefit, of course, first of all, regions, right? That will be connected. That will connect this tunnel. That is Alaska, of course, and Russia's Kamchatka, Chukotka region, right? So good ideas, by the way, some good ideas there, but I don't know if we are really that close to level of cooperation between Russia and US that will allow this kind of project to actually being authorized, right, or launched. Maybe sometime in the future, you never know, right? But idea is definitely a good one, I think. And as I already mentioned, one of their main topics, I guess, today is going to be upcoming meeting between Zelensky and Trump. Zelensky arrived yesterday in US, and he was met by literally nobody from US administration. Maybe they forgot that Zelensky was invited, or I don't know. Maybe some other glitch happened in the protocol service. But I have seen videos, by the way, and seems like there was no officials from Trump's side, from White House, or either from State Department, by the way, that greet Zelensky. Anyways, I think, and that was a humiliation, of course. That was a humiliation of not just Zelensky, but all of his affiliates and also globalists, by the way. This was a statement that Washington make in direction of globalists and globalist control regimes in Europe. Maybe, I don't know, but some interesting nuance. And also RIA Novosti is reporting, based on CNN's report, just recent report, that Trump has no intention of handing over Tomahawk missiles to Kiev ahead of meeting with Zelensky. So ahead of this meeting with Vladimir Zelensky at the White House, US President Donald Trump has no intention of agreeing to the transfer of Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine, but the issue remains on the table, CNN reports, citing informed sources. And well, there is no need at this point to speculate, really. I spoke about these Tomahawks and all these topics so many times, many others also, and therefore we will just see, right? Let's wait and see what is going to happen. Also, RIA Novosti is reporting that US issued a statement about the meeting between Putin and Zelensky. Interesting that US is issuing a statement about this. So meeting between Vladimir Putin and Vladimir Zelensky could become one of the main topics of discussion between US President Donald Trump and the Kiev regime's leader. CBS News reported, citing White House Press Secretary Caroline Lewitt, and yet again, Russian president was very clear, isn't it, about topic of meeting Zelensky. He said if work is done by teams of two sides and certain agreements are in place, then Putin sees no issue with meeting with Zelensky to finalize whatever agreements were reached by working groups, right? But I don't think Russian president will ever agree on a meeting with Zelensky just for some casual talk, right? This is not the way Russian president will operate in this regard, right? And the US should know that. US leadership should know that. And well, if they still insisting on this bilateral or trilateral meeting between Putin, Zelensky, Trump, then okay, let them talk about it, right? And also I saw some reports on a number of Telegram channels, dear friends, that because topic of Tomahawk missiles is sort of on a hold now, at least for some time, potentially, Zelensky will and his affiliates and also their supporters in US itself, neocons, military-industrial complex, and so on, will be more focused on air defense systems then in that case. And Zelensky will ask for more Patriots, I guess. We will find out in a couple of hours' time. I don't know when exactly that meeting between Trump and Zelensky gonna take place, but for this moment, 7:18 evening Moscow time, meeting did not yet started. And before I continue, dear friends, there is quite a number of interesting news left. But before I continue, let me just take a minute and advertise my small channel, if I may. So yes, if you like this channel, dear friends, if you like my work, and if you can help me to maintain this project, and if you want to, you can do it through several means. You can donate through PayPal platform or Boosty platforms. Links are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. You can subscribe to my Patreon page. That will be great support, of course. Also, you can find link to my Patreon or Boosty channels, by the way, also under this video in the description box. And there is a crypto option, of course. And right now, whenever I am online, you can, because I'm streaming on both my channels on YouTube and Rumble, and on Rumble my channel is monetized, you can use super chat feature on Rumble to donate, and same time maybe to highlight some commentary, anything really, right? And you can become a premium subscriber on Rumble. So there's quite a number of ways how one can support my work, and many thanks to everybody who supported and continues to support and keeps me in this field of news and political commentary. Thank you very much. And dear friends, that being said, let's continue with some other news. And as I said, I still have quite a number of reports on some interesting topics. And for example, TASS News Agency reported just a couple of hours ago that Russian armed forces liberated 3 settlements in past 24 hours. These settlements are Privolye, Pishana, and Tikha. And I can give you some details on that. Overall, by the way, this week, Russian armed forces liberated already 8 settlements. And week is not over yet, right? It's only Friday yet. So tomorrow, more settlements can be liberated, and day after tomorrow too. But anyways, let's go through some details here. Russian armed forces liberated 8 settlements in the zone of special military operation over this week, including 2 in the past 24 hours. Actually 3, but anyways. According to a report from Russian Ministry of Defense, in the Kharkov direction, the village of Tikhae in the Kharkov region has been liberated as a result of decisive actions. Units of the West Group of forces are As a result of decisive actions, also liberated villages of Borovskaya, Andreevka, and Pishane in the Kharkov region. Units of a SAND group of forces, as a result of active and decisive actions, liberated the villages of Moskovskaya, Balagan, and Novopavlovka in the Donetsk People's Republic. Over the past week, units of East group of forces, liberated the villages of Alexeyevka and Privolye in the Dnipropetrovsk region. So significant progress, I will say, of Russian armed forces. And don't tell this about this to people, by the way, that only receive information from Western so-called media, because I mean they might have a heart attack, because all Western so-called media is reporting is a stalemate, right? There is a stalemate. Nothing is happening. Russian armed forces are just stationed on one place, and that's it, right? While in reality, literally on daily basis, Russian armed forces moving forward, moving westwards, liberating more and more settlements, right? Also, dear friends, very interesting news, I will say, that is coming from former Russian president and current deputy chairman of the Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, who stated that this year alone, since the beginning of this year, basically, in first 9 months, about 336,000 people signed a contract with the Russian armed forces, and about 28,000 volunteers join Russian armed forces also. Impressive, isn't it? Quite impressive. Entire army, by the way. I mean, 2 armies actually, or 3 armies, right? Let me give you some details. So, Deputy Chairman of the Russian Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, reported that 336,000 people who signed a contract in 2025, as well as 28,000 volunteers, have arrived in Russian military units. Medvedev made a working trip to Astrakhan. Video was published on his Vkontakte page. Vkontakte is a Russian social network, by the way, alternative to Facebook. Actually, much better platform than Facebook ever will be, I think, and very popular in Russia and in quite a number of former Soviet republics. And we have quote here: in total, 336,000 people who signed contracts this year, as well as 28,000 volunteers, have arrived at our military units. These are the current figures, Medvedev said, and I will say this is quite impressive. Of course, veterans of our community are not surprised, because I was reporting literally, like on a monthly basis at least, right, that every single month, about 30, sometimes 40,000 people are signing up to serve in the Russian military. And now we have numbers for September, October. I mean, it's not finished yet, so there are no numbers, I guess. But from January 2025 to September 2025, in first 9 months, 336,000 people signed a contract to serve in army, and also 28,000 volunteers that also supporting Russian armed forces. I will say this is a clear indicator of morale, right? How high morale is here in Russia, by the way, right? And you can compare this to situation on the Kiev-controlled territory, where people literally being kidnapped from the streets, in some cases even from their own homes, right? And then forcefully mobilized and thrown to the trenches. Also, dear friends, Kommersant newspaper is reporting that a Polish court has released a defendant in the Nord Stream 2 bombing case. So the Warsaw District Court has decided to release Ukrainian citizen Vladimir Zhuravlev, who was arrested in a connection with the Nord Stream 2 bombing. He will not be extradited to Germany, according to TPV Info reports. So Vladimir Zhuravlev was arrested on September 30 in Prushkov, excuse me, at the request of Germany. In October, court sentenced him to 40 days of detention. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk and the Polish Defense Minister Radzislav Kosiniak-Kamysz opposed the Ukrainian extradition of this citizen of Ukraine. The Nord Stream pipeline as you know, was blown up on September 26, 2022. And I'm quite sure, by the way, prior to this terrorist attack that was orchestrated by US and the UK, first of all, although Norway and Poland, I'm 100% convinced, did participate in that. Maybe some others too, right? Denmark, for example, but US for sure, 100%, right? US, UK, Norway, no doubts. And I'm quite sure prior to conducting this terrorist attack on Nord Stream pipeline, CIA and MI6 most likely demanded from Kyiv regime to set up certain group that would work on plans to blow up Nord Stream pipelines, right? This group was set up by Kyiv regime, and of course, CIA, MI6, and others were tracking movement of these groups. This group was, from the very beginning, from the first day, set up as a scapegoat, right? So that they would be blamed then for this terrorist attack, and that's exactly what is happening, right? I'm quite sure these people have nothing to do with this terrorist attack, by the way. These citizens of Ukraine might be Nazis, fascists, terrorists. We have to look at their biography closer, but this terrorist attack was conducted by US and UK, first of all, not by these individuals. I have no doubts about it, right? These are scapegoats. They were planning to conduct terrorist attack. I have no doubts, right? They were actually planning terrorist attacks because they've been ordered by regime, right, to do so. And according to some reports, Zaluzhny, who was the head of general staff of Kyiv regime at the time, was directly involved in selection of this group and all this setup, right? I don't think Zaluzhny knew that this group will be then used as a scapegoats, but whatever the case, Germany's investigation was led basically towards this scapegoat elements, and Germany began requesting arrests of certain individuals in Italy, in Poland. They might request arrest of some people in some other countries too, but Poland, as you can see, refusing to extradite this individual, maybe because they know this person did not really blow up nothing. Maybe he was planning to do so, but he didn't, right? Also, maybe he is connected with the Polish Secret Services, for example, and they don't want to hand over their asset. Also could be their case. And also, by the way, it is important to keep in mind that Polish so-called elites historically are extreme Russophobes. Historically speaking, are extreme Russophobes and Russia haters, right? And that's one of the reasons why Donald Tusk, Prime Minister of Poland, also Sikorski, Radisław Sikorski, Foreign Minister of Poland, on numerous occasions went on public to justify terrorist attacks on Nord Stream pipelines, even to celebrate. You will remember what Sikorski did after that terrorist attack. He actually thanked the US for it, right? And he posted about it on his on one of the social networks. And just recently, just a couple of days ago, as I already mentioned, Tusk, Prime Minister of Poland and also Defense Minister, opposed this person to be extradited to Germany, right? And Tusk, I believe, went as far as to say that it's a terrorist attack on a Nord Stream pipeline is not an issue. Issue is that Nord Stream pipeline was built. That's what he said, by the way. I'm interpreting now his words, but that's what essentially he said, right, in his one of the recent statements, quite openly justifying terrorist attack on a NATO member state, right? Because this Nord Stream pipelines, many people may not know, but this Nord Stream pipeline project was not exclusively a Russian project. And German companies and European companies actually invested in this project much more than Russian companies, right? So it was a German project, too, German, Russian, European, Russian project. And Polish Prime Minister went on public to justify terrorist attack on that, refused, criticized idea of transferring this defendant to Germany. And as you can see, Polish judges listen to their political leadership and they refuse to extradite him, right? And on this matter, by the way, Donald Tusk today also commented and said the Polish court denied their extradition to a Germany of Ukrainian nationals suspected of blowing up Nord Stream 2 and released him from the custody, and rightly so. The case is closed. You see, they are justifying terrorism, by the way. And I'm not at all surprised that Polish political class is operating this way. They are not shying away to openly support terrorism and terrorist attacks because they are puppets of British aristocracy, right? If you think Poland is run by Washington, no, man, no. Poland historically is a proxy of British aristocracy, British ruling class, right? And when it comes to British ruling class, whenever they are losing, by the way, what is the last result? Or maybe not even last result, but one of their most actively used even resorts of British ruling class for centuries, not just now, but for centuries. It's a terror. It's a terror campaign, terrorism, right? And of course, proxies of British ruling class are copying their masters. And Polish elites are no exception. They are copying their British masters, and they are all in support for terrorism. That's how it is, man. That's how it is. It's not just Russia hate, but it's what they learned from their masters. And I don't know. I mean, what is your take, dear friends, on this situation? How I struggle to understand level of degeneration of the Western political class that nowadays it is absolutely normal for the Western world, high-ranking politicians like on the level of prime minister and foreign minister to come out and openly, publicly justify terrorist attacks, including on the NATO, on their formal allies that Germany is, right? For Poland, for example, or supposed to be, because all of them are members of EU and NATO. So I don't know. This is crazy. This is insane for sure, by the way. But I just mentioned, unbelievable level of degeneration of Western political class. And on that very topic, I have this report for you from RIA Novosti that EU wants to transfer another 25 billion euros to prolong this proxy war against Russia. And for these purposes, they want to seize frozen Russian assets. Let me give you some details on that. So European Commission has proposed lending Ukraine another 25 billion euros from Russian assets, political reports. It is necessary to examine whether it is possible to extend their reparation loan initiative to other assets blocked within the EU. Their newspaper quoted an internal EU document sent to the member countries. So this is official, by the way. Memo already been sent to EU member states, right? As Politico noted, the EU initially planned to issue the loan of using assets worth 140 billion. So they wanted to steal all frozen Russian assets. It is now exploring the option of using additional funds held in private banks. According to newspaper, another 25 billion euros is held there, right? So there is a Euroclear, right? Belgium-based Euroclear, and there is one more institution that holds most of the Russian frozen assets, right? But there is other part of Russian frozen assets that are in private banks outside of Belgium jurisdiction, right? And Brussels, because Belgium is disagree, at least for now, Belgium government is disagree to Belgium or Danish. Euroclear is in Denmark. It's Denmark, by the way, or Belgium. Let me It's a Belgium, by the way. My apologies. It's a Belgium, right? And that's exactly what I was saying, isn't it? Sorry, by the way. It's a Friday, so I'm a bit tired. So yes, it is Belgium, and Belgium government is refusing to allow Brussels to steal these frozen assets, at least for now, right? They are demanding some legitimacy to be behind this stuff, right? And there is no legitimate ways to do it. There is no legitimate ways to do it, and that's why Brussels come up with their Brussels bureaucrats, EU bureaucrats, come up with this new idea that, you know what, if we cannot steal right now assets that are held by Euroclear, then let's steal assets that are in some other, small institutions, some private banks. And I guess they did counting and they come up with this number, 25 billion euros. And they're going to steal it soon, I guess, very soon, right? Anyways, of course, Russia will retaliate, by the way. I have said quite a number of times before that in Russian jurisdiction, there is around 300 billion Western investments, I guess 300 billion plus even. And Russia will mirror, most likely, actions of their hostile states. They steal Russian assets. Moscow can confiscate similar volume of investments from the West. And hopefully exactly that is going to happen. Exactly that is going to happen. And investors, whoever invested in Russia, they should deal with this possibility and use whatever instruments they have in the West, in Europe, to secure their frozen assets. And the only way they can do it is to demand from their governments not to allow stealing of the Russian assets. There is a way. There is a way. Meanwhile, dear friends, Colonel Michael Randrianarina takes power in Madagascar after the president fled their country. Madagascar is the latest in a string of military-led transitions across Africa. Former French colonies. Colonel promised elections within their 2 years, and according to reports that I see, president of Madagascar fled to France, or at least flee on a French plane, French military plane, if reports were correct, right? So we will see what is going to happen. Seems like, at least for this moment, there is no elements of at least large-scale confrontation between different security forces, which can be a good enough indicator that maybe Madagascar will avoid internal civil conflict. Let's hope so. RIA Novosti is also reporting that US might lose quite significant number of staff in the nuclear energy sector, by the way, or nuclear field. Let me say this way. So the United States is preparing to furlough. What the hell is furlough, by the way? I just don't know this word. I have to translate it. Sorry, but my English isn't perfect, isn't it? And век живи, век учись. Отпуск. So, okay, thousands of people will be sent to holiday, right? A forced holiday due to government shutdown in the US. Furlough. I don't even know how to pronounce this word, by the way. Furlough. Anyways, right? So yes, United States is preparing to send to holiday thousands of employees involved in a nuclear arsenal modernization due to ongoing government shutdown. Energy Secretary Chris Wright announced on Friday. And we have a quote here from him. Starting next week, we will have to send to holiday and in some cases lay off thousands of workers modernizing our nuclear arsenal due to catastrophic shutdown orchestrated by Senator, Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, secretary, wrote on X page of his. He emphasized that the current situation threatens the implementation of key projects to ensure national security, which is interesting, by the way. I will say this is, in some sense, good news because okay, less modernized nuclear weapons US will have, the better. But on the other hand, this is also a worrisome development because this is nuclear sector, right? And probably most key specialists will stay in their workplaces to make sure that there is no nuclear danger. But it's not just nuclear weapons, isn't it? Probably this will touch up on all significant part of nuclear field in US, maybe energy sector too. And although energy sector should be private, but nevertheless, right? So this is an important, interesting development, and well, let's see what is going to happen. But this government shutdown is definitely becoming an issue in US. I saw some reports on the media that every single day costs US approximately $15 billion. This information is coming from US Treasury, and it's quite a lot, isn't it? 15 billion a day. It's quite a lot, and it seems like agreement between Republicans and Democrats is not even on the horizon, at least for now. And God knows for how long this government shutdown continues. Maybe for another 4 weeks, right? Or 8 weeks. Who knows, man? Who knows? Also, dear friends, I have this quite unfortunate news from Montenegro. We call it Chernogoria, right? Former Yugoslavian Republic. And the report is that this country is preparing, Montenegro is preparing to introduce visas for Russian citizens, despite being heavily dependent on Russian tourism. And the information is coming from country's president, Yalov Milatovic, right? And of course, this decision is dictated by the Brussels. We all understand that, right? And there are certain political groups, by the way, in Montenegro that don't want to destroy no relationships with Russia, don't want to see destruction in their tourism industry, but they've been ignored, at least for now. And soon, I guess, Montenegro will introduce visas for Russian citizens. Okay, what can I say, man? Too bad for Montenegro, man. I guess Russian tourists will find a way or find a place where to go for a holiday, right? If anything, Montenegro gonna suffer from this. They're gonna lose jobs in the tourism industry. What the hell is wrong with these people that are in charge there, man? I never understood why Montenegro gets separated from Serbia. They are Serbians, by the way. These people are ethnic Serbians, right? These are Serbian people and should united with Serbs, right? In one country. What Montenegro, man? What Montenegro? What the hell? What the hell, man? It's crazy. But anyways, maybe some adequacy will prevail, and local government will refuse to go ahead with this nonsense. But I guess Brussels are demanding from Montenegro, if you want to join EU, then yeah, you have to go all the way against Russia, right? Not just introduce visas for Russian citizens, but introduce all the sanctions that other EU member states impose, and probably they will do it. Probably they will do it, man. Which is unfortunate, but it is what it is, man. If political elites in this Montenegro, by the way, are гребаные дебилы, блядь. If they are these morons that they get separated from their brothers, Serbians, then what should we expect from them, man? These are fucking morons, man. That's all. Sorry for my French, but such a disappointment, man. Such a disappointment. It's just freaking unbelievable, right? How this is even possible to be, man? What is going on in Europe, man. Anyways, let's continue with some other news and a few more topics on economical stuff. And Trump just yesterday or day before claimed that he had a conversation with Indian Prime Minister, and Modi ensure him that India will cut business with the Russian energy sector and will no longer purchase any oil and stuff, right? And this is also, of course, false information, and even Reuters is reporting about it, by the way. So U.S. claims that India has half its imports of Russian oil, but Reuters sources deny it. White House officials told the reporters Thursday that talks with the Indian delegation in Washington were productive and that Indian refineries had already cut Russian oil purchases by 50%. However, Indian industry sources told Reuters Friday today that New Delhi never instructed refineries to scale back imports. Orders for November and the part of December shipments have already been placed, meaning any reduction, if it happens at all, would come before no earlier than December or January. And yesterday, dear friends, our Indian Foreign Ministry spokesman also stated that he has no idea what Trump is talking about. According to his information, there was no conversation between Trump and Modi either yesterday or day before yesterday or week before yesterday, right? When Trump said that he had a conversation with Modi. So yes, some chaos. It's just freaking chaos, by the way, in Washington right now, it seems like, because quite often these officials in US are talking some stuff that probably they themselves don't really understand, right? And all they generate is more misunderstanding and misinformation of the public. That's all. And on the topic of cooperation between Russia and India, Deputy Prime Minister here in Russia, Novak, also stated that India is one of Russia's main partners in energy. Oil supplies continues as usual, and he's quite sure that there are going to be some crucial changes in this regard, right? And dear friends, we should keep in mind that if Washington will actually manage to force India into submission and to cut ties with the Russian energy sector, which is, I don't believe will happen, but if US will manage to do so, even in that case, what was the expectation in Washington, that Russian oil gonna go where? Nowhere. China will happily buy Russian oil, and trust me, companies will emerge all over the world that will happily purchase Russian oil to resale and make billions on that, right? Every single day, by the way, Russia is exporting like 3-4 million barrels of oil. So can you imagine how much money can be made on being a middleman, right, between Russia and some third party? And India does make billions, by the way, right? No doubts about it, and they're good for them, because cooperation between India and Russia is beneficial for both sides, right? Russia is benefiting, India is benefiting, and if India is forced to leave this business, then some other parties will benefit, right? It is what it is, man, and it's not even laughable at this point that Western so-called elites are still to nowadays think about Russia as some sort of a gas station that, if you damage your energy sector, if you cut oil exports, then economy gonna collapse, country gonna collapse, which is total nonsense, by the way. Gas and oil revenues for federal budget make maximum like 15-20%. That's about it, right? And no country gonna collapse if it loses like 15-20% of income. And of course, it's just not possible. It's just simply not possible to lose income from energy sector completely, because after all, there is a Russian internal market, right, that continues to use very same Russian oil. And also when it comes to world market, India or some other countries, they will always happily cooperate with the Russian energy sector because it's beneficial, right? And so, dear friends, I will end this news segment on this quite interesting news also, that Russia takes first place for a crypto in Europe. I was a bit surprised to see this news, and maybe many members of our community will also going to be surprised, because I did not expect that we were this well developed in the crypto stuff, but we are apparently. So Russia has overtaken its peers to become Europe's largest cryptocurrency market by transaction volume, according to data from blockchain analyst firm Chain Analysis. In a report released on Thursday, the firm said that from July 2024 to June 2025, Russia received 376 billion in crypto value, up from 256.5 billion year earlier, and surpassing the UK's 273 billion mark. Both nations are considered Europe's leading crypto markets. Germany followed with their 219 billion, Ukraine with 206 billion, and France with 180 billion. So, well, by the way, we are number one in crypto. Well done, great. Great news, I will say. I'm not really good in crypto, by the way. I know very little. I barely managed to set up my crypto wallet, right? But I'm like a dinosaur at this point. I mean, too older. I'm a dinosaur. I mean, my type of people are probably on a path towards extinction, right? Because we are not really technology friendly. My type of people, which might sound surprisingly if you keep in mind that I'm streaming right now, and they're using quite a number of programs, and there some technology, some equipment, right, to do so. But nevertheless, I think I'm far beyond the necessary level, far behind the necessary level in the technology to be up to date, right? But nevertheless, news, I think is interesting one. And dear friends, let me right now, before I end the news segment, let me check on latest updates. Maybe who knows? Maybe meeting between Trump and Zelensky already happened while I was online. So I will check now, and well, nothing on this channel, nothing on this channel. So yes, there is no meeting yet between Trump and Zelensky. Probably it will happen. This meeting will happen in next few hours. And dear friends, if something interesting gonna come out of that meeting, okay, in that case, I will of course monitor the situation and bookmark the news, not just about that meeting, but also about potential, possible reactions from Moscow, some other interesting news, and I will share this all information tomorrow during the Saturday live stream that might be launched around 3-4 p.m. Yet again, if there is something interesting, but if not, then probably I will take day off for tomorrow. I don't know yet. I did not decided yet. It depends on news field, isn't it? If too much is happening, then I cannot have a day off. If day is relatively slow news-wise, I can take it. With this updated schedule, by the way, 2 live streams a day, and then also updates on Telegram and Twitter. I mean, I literally have no time for rest, right? And it will be great if I will have one day off at least to just stay away from the news, by the way, right? So that's about it for now. Hopefully you did like the news segment, or if so, please like the video and leave some commentary. And there was no super chat during the live stream. No questions through super chat, no questions through Boosty or PayPal. So therefore, I will end this stream on that. Thank you all, dear friends, for your attention, for your time, for your support, and have a wonderful, great weekend. Bye for now.